Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Today's episode would be most appropriately called Mo's Laboratory versus Mo's Garage. Although Mo's Laboratory is in Mo's Garage, so I guess we're still okay. So the object of today is basically to see if I can figure out how to zinc plate some nuts and bolts for the MGBGT project. So I have a whole bunch of bolts, a whole bunch of fine thread bolts that are pretty rusty. These are actually been cleaned on the wheel. And what I want to do is I want to be able to put a coat of zinc on it so they don't become rusty the first time it rains or gets wet. So, for example, this is not looking super great. So my thoughts are to get them all cleaned up on the wire wheel and then do a little science experiment to see if I can figure out how to plate it. So my science experiment consists of a power supply, a bucket. We have Epsom salts. We also have distilled water back here. So, and we have vinegar, distilled white vinegar, a little pool pump, salt I may or may not use because that's the same as Epsom salts. And the only other thing that's not showing here is some sugar. So now you may ask, what do all these things make? Well, what it does, it helps makes a plating solution from the zinc. So my big disclaimer here, guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. So this is more of a fun, see what happens to Mo, not necessarily intended as any kind of an instructional video. If this is something you want to do, I would definitely research it. So anyhow, so first steps really is to kind of get this whole thing set up to where it's cooking. I need to go ahead and mix up my plating solution and get things set up to where I can start plating some stuff. I'm going to be using acetone to dip all the parts in to make sure they're clean. So we're going to be putting the acetone in the jar. I guess cleanliness is super important. I did forget to mention, I do have a couple of plates. These are zinc plates that I got off of Amazon. They'll be for the actual plating itself. And then this copper wire here actually is going to be what we're going to hold the items in the plating solution. So anyway, let me get this mixed up and get going, and then we'll see what happens. So good deal. This should be interesting. So first things first, we're going to get our electrolyte solution set up. So as I said before, there's all kinds of different recipes online. So you kind of really have to kind of decide how you want to go. So I've seen everything from pure vinegar to 2 parts vinegar, 1 part water, to 2 parts water to 1 part vinegar. So I'm actually going to go with, I think 2 parts vinegar and 1 part water on this. So we're going to grab our distilled water. We'll measure it out. So we'll go right at 2 liters, I think, is where we're going to go. Actually, quite frankly, what we should do is before we do that, we should actually get the vinegar down. So I'm going to pour this actually into here. I'm going to use this as a rinse. So we'll do that. So we'll see how much vinegar we have, because if we're going to go 2 parts vinegar to 1 part water, then we need to make sure that we have enough vinegar. So it smells like a salad. Love the smell of vinegar. Okay, so this is, according to this, 2 liters. So that's good. We'll pour it in here. So, and we might put a little bit more just because get a little bit more depth inside the bucket, since the bucket is really not that big. So maybe I'm going to try 3 liters, which is about right because this is almost empty. So we'll put that there. So that's 3 liters. And then we will do, if it's 3 parts vinegar to 1 part water, then we'll do 1 part water will be 1 liter. I'm not sure if my wife knows that I'm stealing some of her kitchen equipment here to measure this stuff out. Good news is it's at least nothing too heinous that we're doing here. Okay, so that's that. And then our next part is we're going to put, I've got some Epsom salts, so we're going to put that in there, and that will help conduct electricity, especially since the distilled water pretty much has all the good stuff taken out of it that would help do that. So let me open this up, and we'll put some in, and we'll have to figure out how much exactly we're going to put in, so be right back. So we have our Epsom salts. We will put some in there and then twirl it around to mix it really good. You want to make sure that it dissolves. So I'm going to use this, and I think I'm going to start with maybe, I don't know, a couple of cups of that and see how it goes. So we'll go from there. So I'm going to at least put this in there and see how it dissolves. So, ooh, I'm missing a stick. Let me grab a stick real quick. Okay. Okay, so I've procured a stick. We'll go ahead and put it in here and see how this dissolves. Okay, so next step is to basically hook up the zincs and let it bubble in here for a little bit so we can get some zinc ions in the water, and then we'll start the plating process. So the big question is how to get these to hand. So it looks like we're going to have to put these on. Maybe give a little bit more room. So what we're going to do is, first things first, we're going to actually run a negative charge through one and a positive through the other, just to get the ions going. So let me get that set up. I've got our machine right here. Positive at one end. Stick this in the bottom. And actually, I think, I think some clothespins might come in pretty handy, or at least something to prevent that from getting too far buried. I'm trying to avoid having that actual lead itself in the water, so that would not be good. So yeah, let me, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab some clothespins. So I grabbed some clothespins. It also occurred to me that we forgot the other ingredient, which is sugar. Sugar is considered a brightener, I guess, and so what happens is, like for my research, that this helps the crystals not be so big. So I'm just going to randomly toss some sugar in here. I have no idea how much, but that looks like some attempt. So we'll see how that goes. And then I also have, so we'll kind of give that another quick stir. So just make sure it's all nice and then what we'll do is we will, after this is done, I'm going to click up my little pump, my pool pump, which is right here. We will stick him in the water or in the solution, and then I said we'll most likely run the anodes for about 20 minutes or so, just to kind of give some ahead of time. So in it goes. Okay, so what we'll do is use this guy here to help stick it to the wall, or maybe stick it to the bottom. Like this. And also, okay, and now it's all mixing around. So hopefully that also helps everything get kind of, what's we call it, thoroughly stirred and mixed together. So that'll be good. So we have one of our anodes. Let's hook up to the positive. So I'm just going to put it mainly in the water, but just enough to where I can not get my, what's it call it, my alligator clip wet. We'll grab the other one and do the same thing. Negative alligator clip onto it. other side. So we get a nice difference of a little pack of powder. So I have my power supply hooked up. That's done. That is done. So what else am I missing? So I think that's actually it for now, that we can actually start at least getting that running real quick. So we'll turn the power on. So we'll go from there. And you can actually see there is some fizzing going on, that's for sure. So good, awesome. So we'll set a quick timer for, let's see, 15 minutes, see where it's at. And we'll go from there. So actually what we're gonna do, we'll let this go on for about 20 minutes or so. So we'll do a 20-minute timer. So the next step is, as we've done that, and just kind of does this thing for the time being. So I have gone ahead and cleaned up some sample pieces. So what we have here, this is part of the suspension from the rear cradle for the, actually the rear mount for the transmission for the MGB. And these are some miscellaneous bolts that I cleaned up in the wire wheel. I did kind of come up with this little contraption here to kind of hold the bolt in place while you clean it up. It's pretty amazing what it'll do. Just the sheer running a wire wheel will turn it from ugly rusty bolt into halfway decent. So I'm going to try to keep as many of the bolts as possible for the MG. Most likely I will be replacing the nuts and the washers because they're pretty well toast. So the big trick is figuring out now how to get these things absolutely clean, because these cannot have any grease or dirt or whatever. And so one solution is to go give it a bath in acetone. The other solution is to put like a solution of muriatic acid, which is hydrochloric acid, and have it go that direction. So for cleaning, so that is something we can definitely figure out. I think the acetone most likely is a little less volatile than the hydrochloric acid, but it might be better actually to, might not do it as good of a job as the hydrochloric acid to thoroughly clean this up. So anyway, we'll check it out in a sec. Also my copper wire, so this is what we're going to hang everything up with, so we can put it in the solution. So it's just copper wire. And I do have my little bridge over here. So we will, when we get ready to play, we'll actually put the negative onto here, and then this is what everything's going to hang off of. So yeah, so let me do a little thinking about it and what this stuff does. We'll be right back. Awesome. So here's actually Kevin up close. You can see what's going on with the solution. So you can see all the bubbling going on. So we will give it a few more minutes, and then we'll start our first attempt at plating. So after some thoughts and consideration, I think I'm going to use some of the muriatic acid. I have some here at the house that I've been using for the pool. So I'm going to do kind of a diluted solution, I think. So that way we're not dealing 100%, so maybe it's a little bit safer. So obviously whenever it comes to acid, you always put the water in first. You do not put acid in the water, so we're going to put some of our distilled water in here. And I think we're going to go, of course that's right in the way of the camera, so we'll see about that much distilled water, and put the safety gear on, and we will put the rest with some muriatic acid. Hopefully it does a good job of cleaning stuff. So about to find out. And we'll put this away real quick so we don't have to deal with that. Okay, so we have our muriatic acid. We have our rinse water that's right next to it, so we can rinse what we do. I'm a little concerned about the lid on this because the lid is metal. I'm sure it's going to corrode. So that just may be something that after we're done with it, we may just have to pour it out and get some new stuff later on. So anyhow, so next thing we'll need to get these wired up. So let me do that real quick. and then we'll try our, I think our timer's about done in a bit, and we'll try our first attempt at plating, see how it turns out. Awesome. Okay, so we're about 20 minutes now, so I think we're in good shape. So I'm going to basically turn the power off, and then we're going to rewire this. So now we have the positive on the zinc plate, and then the negative will be on our piece that we're trying to plate. So I think our first piece is going to be this one right here, the bolt from the transmission support. We'll do one first, see how it turns out, and then we'll go from there. They say 0.1 amps per square inch, so I'm just going to assume that this is about, the circumference here is about the equivalent of a square inch. So if you have, that would be maybe 1, 2, 3, and then you have this. So maybe, I'm just going to guess that maybe 0.4 amps on that and see how it goes. So, but yeah, let me get this thing sorted out first and change that so we can try our first example. So hang tight for a sec and we'll do this real quick. We'll turn this off. And then I did create this kind of a cannibalized lead here. Quite frankly, I didn't really have any alligator clips, and I had this old piece of cable that I'd made for some other projects. I just cut it in half and kind of put an extension piece in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect the positive anode here. So we'll take this off real quick, and we'll grab this guy here, and we'll bring it on around. And this guy over here we're going to disconnect, because now our friend here is going to be another positive plate. So we'll kind of, again, get him over to this side and hold him in place with a clip. So that's that. This is our copper bar, and on the copper bar we will grab the negative and tie it in. And then, so we are now ready to rumble as the thing goes. And so really what we need to do now is we need to get this, make sure this is all nice and cleaned up. So let me, again, put some protective gear. I'm going to drop it in the hydrochloric acid solution, so which is down there, as you can see it. And then we will rinse it off in the distilled water. And then we will put it in the bucket and see what happens. So exciting stuff. So I'm going to swap these around a little bit, so it makes a little bit more sense. And then I am going to go ahead and put some protective gear on, just to make sure my hands and my face are covered. I'm sure it doesn't help that I'm in shorts and t-shirts, but it is kind of warm today in Lake Havasu. And so here we go. So I think I'm going to let that hang out in there for a couple seconds and just kind of make sure it gets a good coverage. We'll twirl it around a little bit, and then we'll see how it goes. But like I said, I did not go with full strength, just to be on the safe side. Okay, now we're going to dump it in the distilled water solution. Give it a good rinse. And then I'm going to find out that this is not tall enough real quick. So we'll see. And put it on here. Well, good news, it's actually submerged. So we'll go ahead and give it a little voltage now. So we said we're going to ballpark-ish at maybe 0.4 amps. And we'll run that for a few minutes and see how it works. So we'll turn that on. So we'll try 0.3. See how it goes. So very interesting. So here, let me reposition the camera so you can see what's inside the bucket. Okay, so you can actually see that thing is fizzing away. So kind of exciting. At least to me, it's kind of exciting having our own little science experiment over here. So yeah, so we'll wait a few minutes and see how it's going to look like. Awesome. Okay, let's see how this thing looks like after about 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn the power supply off temporarily, and we will grab our friend here and see how it looks like. So interesting enough, I don't know. Because I'm not sure, I suspect that the copper wire should have also have gotten some zinc on it too. So, and definitely looks a different color than it was before, that's for sure. I mean, it was kind of all nice and shiny and bright. So, you know, I'm going to put it in there for a little bit more time, but I think it's actually getting zinced up. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has changed color. So we'll put it back in here temporarily and give it a few more minutes, and we'll go from there. So awesome. Okay, let's turn the power supply off, pull this out, and I think that definitely looks like it's zinc plated. So yeah, I'm not going to really mess with it. Some people suggest polishing it, make it look very nice, but quite frankly, this is going to be underneath the car. Nobody will ever see it. So we'll go ahead and get this thing kind of cleaned off real quick. We'll find maybe another bottle with distilled water, and then we'll call it good. So yeah, anyway, so next up, a bunch of bolts, but I think that kind of concludes my video for today. So I said before, my thoughts are maybe to clean up all the bolts, and then go get new washers. It also, quite frankly, most of the bolts in the MG are fine thread, and they're not easily located here in the United States, where we're more coarse threads of these kind of sizes. So it's just going to be easier just to, quite frankly, just redo these bolts. Although I will have to go find some nuts. So anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, no expert. This is more for fun. Not really instructional video. So definitely hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye now. If you like this video, hit subscribe and give us a big like down below. Thanks for watching.